Before we get started on the show this week, the OTB podcast is brought to you by the legends at troyledesigns.co.nz. Use the code OTB podcast at checkout for 15%, and if you like us and have kids ripping around, you should take a look at the Flowline Youth line of helmets. All the iconic Troy Design style and safety bundled into a helmet for the little ones. Also thanks to Smith Optics keeping our vision clear at the Whaka 100, and Filthy Bike Wash for keeping the bikes running absolutely clean and tidy. Use the code OTB15 for 15% discount and free shipping at filthy.net.nz. On to the show.
Nice. Very nice. Front and back. Leader's garment. Quite happy.
It's alright, isn't it? Looks pretty good in that bad boy.
Excellent. I think the word you're looking for is... Look at that thing. Looks beautiful. Done. Beautiful.
Now, only if you're ready for this.
Welcome back to the OTB podcast, New Zealand's original and still the best New Zealand mountain bike podcast. We're back, not to talk about any World Cup racing this week, but we're actually here to talk about the Whaka 100 that was on last weekend. We've got a bit of a recap as all of the regular OTB panel was in attendance, but we've got a special guest this week. But before we get to there, Red Dog, Lester, Chris, welcome back to the show, boys. Thanks for coming.
G'day, Kerry.
But
evening, Kerry.
Before everyone gets too excited and jumps in on that one, we might as well jump to the actual special guest. Winner of the Whaka 100, Craig Oliver. Thanks for joining us, Craig.
Yeah, no worries.
But it's good to have a qualified guest on here. You know, it's actually someone that actually knew what they were doing and did well.
I don't have my own personalised kit yet, though, so...
We can get you an OTB jersey. I mean, we may have to send you an invoice for it. We can't really pay you anything to wear it, but...
The question is, did you guys go straight into the first riding kit as Lycra, not as downhill?
Yeah, we actually did.
Holy,
True
that's
story.
That's a big
You
statement.
bet we
from
did,
boys,
Craig.
Eh? It's a big statement from you boys.
We were committed. We were committed.
Yeah, good.
It's an observation that I think talks to kind of where we're all at in life, Craig. Like we're all getting on a bit and kind of Lycra guys now.
Yeah.
Craig, you wouldn't believe the amount of time we spent talking about nutrition. KB's talking about how many grams of fucking protein he has to eat every 30 minutes or whatever he's doing. I don't know, mate. You were all I know is that you were basically drinking fluids for 6 hours.
What did you hit? 36 gels or something, Kerry?
17.
17.
17. Far out.
I needed every single one of them.
All right. I want to hear Craig's recap because I want to hear what he ate. Because I was thinking about this driving home tonight. I was like, I bet Craig had like 3 gels and a banana or something.
Yeah, probably. 2 bottles of water.
No. Oh, we can start off with what I ate during the race if you want, but no,
Yeah,
I smoked quite a few gels myself, but...
I was wondering what you were going to say you smoked. I was like, see how you get through it.
Smoked a durry on the line and then just took off, ripped into it.
Yeah,
gets the heart rate up quickly.
Probably cheaper than the price you pay for the gels, mate.
It's true.
Yeah. No, I had 2 different brands of gels, and then just like one has 40 grams of carbs, one has 25. Try to have one of those, each of them an hour. And then I think I had 4 bottles of electrolytes, a litre of water in the Camelback. I had 1 square meal, and then just some like kind of chew lollies. But I'd say I think I ended up having 5. Yeah, it would have been like close to 10 gels, 1 square meal, and then 1 packet of chews. So yeah, it was pretty high. Like it probably would have been almost 100 grams of carbs per hour.
Yeah, so that was
that's
pretty much what I was aiming for. I think I pretty
Yeah.
much ended up hitting about 95 grams, but I just was having like 25 gram carb gels, so it was like multiples of those.
Yeah, that just gets a bit niggly, eh?
Yeah.
That's a decent intake. Red Dog, you had, what, 30 mils of water across the course of the day and
Oh, yeah.
like a little square of cheese or something?
Like a third. I had a third of an Eames Power cookie and 2 gels. No, I had a lot more gels than that, but I didn't drink enough. I find it really hard to eat and drink.
This sounds like a
Generally
detox.
or at races?
Generally, yeah. I need help.
It
Keeps
was
you lame.
surprisingly actually kind of like warm though, like kind of like humid. So you did actually get through quite a lot more. Like I planned on just having like 1 litre of Camelback, and then I thought I could probably do it on 2 bottles. And the original like communication that actually came out, if you read the website, was that you could only get past a bottle in the feed zone, not in the water zones.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of chat about it, and so I fired away a question to the commissaires because I was quite happy, and I'd actually prefer it to be like that because I quite like taking a Camelback and being sort of self-reliant. But all the other boys like to take nothing and just get a water bottle to be a minimum. And they came back to me and said that it was correct, but then at 10:30 at night we get an email saying that no, you can take a water bottle at every feed zone. So it changed pretty quickly, and I had to quickly find a feeder. So yeah, I was kind of glad in the end because I got through a few more water bottles.
Would you be one of the few guys in that front pack, Craig, wearing Camelback?
Yeah, I think there's me, my brother Ben, and then maybe only 1 or 2 other dudes, like maybe in the top 10 were in a pack. Yeah.
There was a lot of guys even in, I mean, I didn't have a pack on, but like there was some fast young guys in age group who I was like, Jesus Christ, I've got 2 bottles and that's it. Like, that were obviously getting fed as well.
Yeah. But it's pretty, I would almost rather that you don't and you just carry a bit more water in your Camelback, because like I can carry probably 2 litres, and if I did, then I would have almost made it round with just like one hand off of a 750ml bottle, 2 litres of water in the Camelback, and 1 bottle to start. So, yeah.
So you could get a bottle. You could get a bottle at each water stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you have a feeder just doing the rounds?
Yeah. Luckily, me and my brother both had the same family, the Ryans, who live in Rotorua, doing it. So yeah, it was super lucky actually. They did a really good job because Ben actually broke a spoke as well on the first downhill. And
On Box of Birds.
Yeah, on Box of Birds, we both had actually a real nightmare in the first hour and used a shitload of energy that we didn't really need to. Which in turn, when you get a little bit behind, puts the fire in the others to just send it a little bit harder as well. So we did quite a little bit of chasing there in the first couple of hours, and the pace was already pretty frantic. But yeah, it kind of paid off a little bit in the end. I think a lot of people cooked themselves, but
Did you and Ben kind of go into it with a plan to work together?
absolutely not. Nah,
Nah.
pretty much fit. I mean,
Or every man for himself? Fuck
Yeah.
that guy.
yeah, I mean, not fuck that guy. I would definitely, like, in my own head, I was like, you know, if me and Ben get away together, then like we'll see what we can do to sort of like help each other, I guess. But to be fair, it's so much single track and stuff that you can't really do a lot. Like,
Nah.
there's a couple of bits where you can like maybe draft a little bit, get a little bit of reprieve, but it's not going to help you a heck of a lot. We more normally just had like yarns, once we got away, and just sort of kept each other's morale up. And yeah, it was super fun actually ripping out the front with Ben. And I mean, I guess my only plan was that if I got away with Ben, then I was quite keen to press on, because you know, out of anyone, if he ended up beating me, then I would have been like, oh well, shit happens, he beat me. But if one of the Aussies or something had won, then I would have been a bit darker, you know.
How far away were you? How far through were you guys when you actually like made a move and got away?
I don't know the exact Ks, but it was after the feed zone, like the long climb that went up the side of Hot Cross, and then all the way
direct,
up to
direct road and frontal lobotomy.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah. So through that feed zone, we all just sort of like rode through. There's probably like maybe 8 of us, but there's a few guys by that stage sort of like pinging off the back and then getting back on the roads when we'd slow up. And then kind of my plan was to do a reasonable dig up frontal, because I sort of thought that would suit me, being a little bit more punchy, like in and out of turns and stuff, rather than just an all-out climb.
Yeah.
But we kind of got to the bottom of, right at the bottom of that climb, and I just went to the front and sort of found a smooth section of road and just rode kind of my tempo, like a hard tempo, what I thought I could get to the top at, and then after like 2 or 3 minutes looked behind, and it was just Ben on my wheel and the others were like way back. So we actually, it sort of flattens off and then goes steep again before you get into frontal, and Ben didn't roll past me, and I thought, oh yeah, well, we're both pretty on the both pretty on the limit then. And then we actually backed off the pace quite a lot, because it gets sort of like loose and rough up the top before the natives, and if you're super cooked going with the natives, then you can't actually ride the natives that quick. And it's kind of a weird track, because it's like, it's super fun, but it's not like really steep downhill, so there's heaps of pedaling, and I actually rode a lot of that track for my seat up, just so you can like rest and stuff, and I'm kind of used to riding for my seat up before seat droppers were a thing on XC bikes. So yeah, it was good, and we just sent it down there, got some mean high lines, cheered each other on a bit, and then just sort of the next track downhill was Kung Fu, which is proper downhill, which was quite fun, and then just kind of like the longer, flatter stuff out around the back of the lake. We sort of took a few turns. Ben needed to take a quick piss, so he did, and then just, obviously didn't attack him, but so around that, and then Ben had done it a couple of times before and has won it twice, so I kind of thought we were going to go straight into the climb up to split ends, and then Ben's like, no, we've got to climb up to no brain. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise to me, out in the hot sun again.
Did you see any of the field? Because there's a couple of points, like when you get to no brains, and then also before you get to Pondy, you can sort of the track comes quite close to another part of the track. Did you see the field at all when you were around those areas?
Yeah, there's a couple of bits that we've seen, like the other boys, if you were going out and they're coming we were coming back, I guess, and they were going out for like that sort of like loop, but we never really knew how far anyone was behind us. Like, we actually kind of had an idea, or said to each other, like around the sort of flat lake loop that we did, we're like, oh, they might come back to us if we're not pushing super hard and they're like desperate. But I was like pretty confident if anyone did come back to us, then they'd be way more cooked than what I was, and I'd just hit them straight away again, and then it would just open up a gap, and we were kind of just riding a pace that we could get to the finish, because you do start to get into like, risk of getting cramp and stuff will certainly slow you down. Cause
I was well and truly at risk of getting cramp by that stage, mate. I'd already been dealing with it for about 2 hours.
Yeah,
the risk had come to fruition.
KB.
I think cramp started for me. So the shit really hit the fan at the start of frontal. That was where I just fell to pieces.
Oh yes, early.
Yeah. I wasn't even halfway.
You think that's early, Craig?
Yeah.
I was at risk of cramp on the start line.
Just mentally,
yeah.
Your body couldn't handle the thought of it.
Pretty much from about frontal onwards, I dealt with bouts of cramp for the whole rest of the day. There was a couple of times where I came to a complete stop. At one point, both of my knees locked out. I couldn't actually bend my legs. I had to physically push my knees from the back to get them to bend again.
Oh no!
Bro, I got it coming out of the bottom of Billy T, where you turn left and start climbing up the Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Up the road. I was about 50 metres up there, and I've never had both legs fully lock out to the point where I can't even move.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm done. That's me over. My day is done. Because it started bad and it only got worse. And then I sat on the side for probably 5 minutes or so, maybe even longer than that. And I was just like, boys are riding past, and like, you're right, man. And I heard I'd get way, way further back. And I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm going home. And then my mate came past, Josh Page, he came past, and he's like, bro, I'm destroyed. I'm sick, I'm just going to keep plodding on. I was like, we're going to be out here for like 9 hours if I keep going like this. I don't want that. And I'm like, nah, I'm going home. He's like, nah, just keep riding and see what happens. And then 5 minutes later, I was fine. So I gapped them right away. And then, I kind of had a few niggles from then on. But by the time I got to the last 20 Ks, I was on fire.
See, I was about to light Old Chevy on fire, because I was standing in the middle of Old Chevy, just with both knees locked out, with cramp in my quads and cramp in my hamstrings, going, how the fuck do I get out of this? But also knowing I was so close to the end, this was just after a dude on a single speed went past me, and I was just like, fuck my life. I just got passed by a dude on a single speed hardtail. Turns out he's actually quite a hitter, and he did pretty well.
That would have been Shannon.
Yeah, it was.
So
but at the time, I was just like, what the fuck? Because I just had done like a pretty hot lap down split ends. I was like, yeah, I've just sent split ends. I feel good. But then as soon as I got out of the descending, it all just came crashing back down again.
So
what a mess.
It's good to know that cramp exists across the whole field. Well, except at the pointy and creek. Because my cramp story came a little earlier than that. And for the listeners, I'm decidedly mid-pack, right? So I was there making up numbers.
We thought you might have still been on course. We were a little bit worried while you were late.
I was going to say I was calling in from the third feed station, but we got past the third feed station. We just rolling across the line about 10 minutes ago. So, but I had a pretty good start to the race and was feeling quite surprised at how well I was going, and like there was a lot of time to be made up on the downhills. So I whipped it down Teehee and then down Billy T. I was like, fuck, we're doing all right here. And then got on to the climb up to Kung Fu. And just at the beginning of that climb, I was like, ooh, I can feel this in my quads. We'll back it off a little bit. And I was riding with our mate from Christchurch, Jerry. And then about 5 minutes later, just hamstrings and quads both went, both legs. I had a fucking golf ball in the back of my hamstrings on both legs, and it was one of those situations where I stood up, got off the bike, and tried to stretch my hamstring out. Then my quad would go, and then tried to stretch my quad out, and my hamstring would go. And I'm on the side of the track, like I'm pissing myself because I'm kind of cramp prone. And our friend Malcolm, who's an Ironman athlete, is coming up the road behind me, and I'm just yelling and going, "What the fuck do I do, Malcolm? Help! What do I do?" And he comes up and he just goes, "Drink everything you've got and just start walking." And that was pretty much what I did, and nursed it home from there. But that was like 55 Ks, so it's a long afternoon.
45K.
No way.
Yeah, well, I got on eventually and just sort of cruised, but it was like, oh, we're just nursing it home from here.
I drank so much. Like I had like close to 4 litres over the day. Like I wasn't short on electrolyte or anything, and I'm like, holy crap! Like my calves were like cramping to the point of where my heels were just uncontrollably like lifting all the time, and
my cramp doesn't seem so bad now. I hear those stories. I'm interested to know, Craig, did you do the Eliminator? I can't remember.
Yeah, I did do the Eliminator, but I was having some fork issues.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Craig had to do an emergency fork rebuild.
Like
it's an XC bike. How?
I was talking to Dale Cheatley, who used to be track cycling coach guy. Back in the day. Well, not so many years ago. After the Eliminator, and he was like, "Oh, you've just basically done 5 kilo efforts." He's like, "You're going to be screwed for Sunday."
Oh, there's our issue, Mikey. There's our issue.
I know I'm going to be a bit blown, but I don't think it'll be too bad. And he was like, nah. And so, yeah, I put my cramping, or a bulk of my issue, not necessarily just the cramp, but I just had no power to start with for the first like 80 Ks, which was super weird. But I put that down to just not recovering from Friday.
Yeah,
I'll
I think that's got to take its toll on people. Well, I think that's probably, KB, like maybe why you cramp so much as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the heat and things, sure, but I think it can't be good for you, especially
untrained athletes, non-athletes like us.
I haven't done an effort like that since the last Eliminator. So that's 12 months ago.
It's only a year ago.
Did any of the elite guys, Craig, not do the Eliminator?
Nah, everyone did it, but I guess everyone sort of got knocked out at different stages. But I mean, to be honest, like I did the Eliminator and got knocked out pretty early. You just couldn't really pass in the course. Like it was, unless you were willing to.
It was a race to
life.
It was a race to the wall ride, and that was it. It was over.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless you wanted to really snake someone, and I was kind of more about the Sunday shenanigans and that, so I was kind of over it and trying to fix my fork. But to be honest, like I was thinking, because I did one hot practice lap, one TT, and only one heat. So I'd only done like maybe minute 30 full gas, and to be honest, like you're saying, like it tires you out and stuff, and it probably does, but I would do a lot more than that 2 days before the race if I wasn't doing the eliminator. Or, normally I'd have like an easy day or a rest day, and then like the day before do like a few openers and then do the race. Or I'd have like 2 days before, like the eliminator was, do like a few openers and then have like an easy sort of spin day the day before the race. So I think, I don't think the eliminator would have affected any of the elites or the dudes that are used to it, because most of them would do something like that, or even probably like a harder session a couple of days before normally.
Yeah. Do you think though? I mean, for me, the fact that it's a dead start and you're going straight, for me, it's like probably a 14 to 1600 watt effort, depending what power meter you're looking at, out of the start. Maybe more even, just out of the start. But that just tears my legs to bits.
Would you be doing
some
big numbers getting thrown around there, Lester?
Yeah.
I'm not light though. You got to remember, I'm not light.
But powerful though, real powerful.
I'm heavy and powerful.
Yeah.
Craig, who's the oldest guy in the elite field though?
Glenn Hayden, probably.
Glenn would be, yeah.
Yeah, Glenn Hayden, he's had it, yeah.
Former downhill national champion too. I mean, but I don't think many people on the line would even know that.
No,
they're our fans. They would know.
He's good on a road bike too, man. I'm about to find that out this weekend.
Hey, did he win a stage last year? He did, eh?
He won the first stage.
He won the first stage, Yeah,
What a legend.
Tour of Southland, that is, for our listeners.
Yeah,
he's the ultimate all-rounder, Kerry. I think he's got you beat.
I'm chasing him down, though. He's got a few years on me. I just need to get into some road racing now.
He raced super motards.
Oh, fuck,
Have you raced super motards?
Nah, I've never raced super motards.
Yeah, until you beat the cemetery circuit, mate, you're never going to get there.
No, I'll end up in the cemetery if I did. It wouldn't go well.
Who in the elite pack, Craig, is the fastest on the downhills, do you reckon? Glennie?
It's got to be
on the downhills.
Yeah.
Oh, there's people that think they're the fast on the downhills, but
it won't be Glenn.
I like to follow them into the downhills, and they look back, and then you just still ride on their wheel, and you're like, well done for attacking me into the downhill. I mean, most of the boys would go pretty good on a downhill, but I mean, I did do a bit on an enduro bike. I wasn't a hero, but I was alright.
Oh, mate, you were
pretty good.
You were a very handy enduro rider. Don't sell yourself short. There's no shortage of descending skills for you. So
it depends if you turned up to the Canterbury series or not.
Are you better than your brother?
On an enduro bike, I'd say yeah.
What about on an XC bike downhill? Are you about the same?
Oh, pretty similar. Maybe it depends on the downhill. Depends who's feeling it. But yeah, I mean, and I just feel like, in the race especially, I mean, I'm just so comfortable following Ben on downhills that I just kind of trust any line that he takes. But there's a lot of operators out there that are fast, but not necessarily
sketchy operators.
Fast. And I think that's the big difference, and it especially probably pays off in Whaka. Like, there's a lot of dudes in cross country that can go actually super quick on a downhill, but if you're doing that on a track that you've practiced 10 times in an XE race, that's one thing, but to be able to do that for me, I hadn't ridden in Rotorua for years, like all the tracks that, I hadn't seen, and I think have a higher speed without like much of a risk, then that made a big difference, eh?
Hey, we didn't get to the end of the race when we were talking with you earlier, but so you ended up beating Ben by about 4 minutes or something. Where did you drop the hammer on Ben?
We rode all the way together until that King of the Mountains climb. Thing.
Bondi elevator.
Yeah, and I thought he was doing a bit of a sneaky trick on me, because he was like maybe 100 meters, 50 meters behind me as you cross the timing mat at the bottom.
Yeah.
And at this stage, I was sort of starting to get a little bit of cramps, smashing water. I'd missed one water bottle, so I was, I don't know if that played the part, but I was just cramping up a little bit as well. And then Ben rides up to me after the timing mat, and I'm like, you bastard, you've just got like 5 seconds on me on this KOM time, and if you just roll in behind me. I was like, smart move, but I was kind of still more focused on the bigger picture, I guess. But it turns out, he was just hurting. And then he said to me, look, the next hour and a half is going to fucking suck. But he said, at least we're going to go 1-2. Good luck out there, boss. And then I
That's sick. That's cool.
And I just thought, oh, you dog. He's just about to light it up, eh?
He's alpha you, eh? He's absolutely alpha you.
But just as you go over that timing, Matt, you went up quite a steep little pinch before the climbing trail. And I just kind of stood up there like a normal sort of speed as I would, like not really in an attack or anything. And before I knew it, I'd distance Ben, and then you're just like, holy, this is happening. And then kind of went like a little bit quicker, but then you realise that you can't actually go that much quicker. So and it's a long way to the top. And Lewis was obviously on the motorbike in front, and I actually came out of that single track, and then Lewis had his helmet up over his eyes, eating a muesli bar, and then he pulls his helmet down, just sees me, and then just like, holy shit, just gives it some on the motorbike, and that was pretty sick. So then after that, and I could see, because there's some bits on that climb that open up quite far back, and I just thought, maybe Ben's going to come back to me, because it's like, it's easy to chase someone when you can see them, but I was like, I'm sort of out of sight now, and I knew if I got to the bottom of split ends, I kind of had 15-ish K to go, I think it was, so just sort of got to the top of that climb and kept it smooth down split ends and try to push on where I could, where there was time to be made on like some of the steep little pinches and stuff, but mainly just focusing on going the right way, so I didn't do a big cock up at the end.
Oh man, I had a few moments where I was just like, am I just off riding some other fucking trail here? Like I can't see any tape, there's pine needles all over the ground, like where have I turned off here?
For
and
sure.
then you'd find the track again, you're like, oh no, it's right, I'm still going the right way.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're riding the track at a reasonable speed, like I think for reasons they can't tape off some tracks and stuff just because of the public. But like they put a sign up and it says like wrong way, but I'm 100 meters down the track as I go past the sign that says wrong way, like so you kind of have to, and that's what happened to me in the first 2 hours. I had a dude had crashed in front of me down Box of Birds. Cam Jones and my brother got away, and then Ben broke a spoke, had to stop, wrap it around his spoke, and then I kept going, caught up to Cam, was leading down that next downhill, which I think is like Paddy's Run, and took a wrong turn, and I was like, I can't hear anyone, like obviously maybe I've gapped them massively or not, and then I just seen like a flash of white like out to the left, and I was like, oh no, ran back up the track, and then just chased for ages because they just sent their meat after they gapped me and then, I caught back up eventually, but there was a bit of energy spent there. But I actually think now, looking back at it, that all I'd done is taken the hard way, which I thought was faster, and there was a hard and easier way, but I just didn't commit to the full hard way, and they knew that the easier way was faster. Yeah. So I probably should have just kept riding, but I was a bit too worried that I was off track. So
There were a heap of those. Like Box of Birds I got screwed in Box of Birds because there's the hard easy line of Box of Birds, but it's a full track split. Like it's not just two different lines.
That's where the marshal was, because I took the wrong turn there as well and had to stop and go back up.
Well, the fucking marshal was having lunch when I got there, because it was
they
like, we got there and it was because the arrow goes down the easy line, but there's no taping or no wrong way sign down the hard line. And
there is, but it's like 15 meters into the track. So once you've already taken the turn and you see it, and then you're like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, because I pre-rode Box of Birds because I'd done it in the EWS in Rotorua, and I was like, that's a track that would be handy to know. And I rode down it when I was pre-riding it, and obviously you're not going quick and you're seeing all the arrows and you're making the right turns, and you're like, this is like way different to what I remember. And then I got to the bottom and I was like, nah, like we're literally on a different track.
Yeah.
I think it's called Fluffy Ducks, actually,
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
turn on to Fluffy Ducks off to the left.
But the hard line is kind of it's the obvious main line as well. Yeah. Because you come into a bend and it's straight, but it's, Red Dog, how's your day?
Oh, it was pretty good, I thought. I had a good day. I didn't cramp, although it was starting to. So obviously I drank more than you guys. Bloody useless. I did have to assist a guy who'd like peeled himself out on, I think it was bunny jugs. So I had to do a bit of running in there as well, back up the track and got a marshal and came back down. And I was pretty weary at that point. I was like, this is a recipe for me just to lock up this next climb. So I think we were coming into direct. But I was alright after that. So I was
what-
relatively happy. I'm not an athlete like Craig, Kerry, and Murky, but Chris,
Yeah.
you know,
Relative
you're a
terms.
semi-pro.
I noticed the
terms.
omission there, Red Dog. Thanks.
That's good
What,
karma.
What
We're,
was the least?
we're halfway there.
I want to know what. We'll start with Craig. What your least favourite trail of the day was? Was there a section of the day where you were just like, "Fuck, I just want this to be over"?
Oh, probably like after the bottom of split ends, and I just wanted to be at the finish
Yeah,
and be
old Chevy.
won it. Because
Old Chevy drags once you get off the bottom of split ends.
the thing with old Chevy is there's a lot of like back and forth, and there's not much to it. But also, if you look back, like I had no idea how far Ben was really behind me, so I'm still kind of sending it. And now I realise I probably could have not sent it so hard. But you can't tell whether someone's like 30 seconds behind you or 3 minutes.
No, you
Because
hear
you can't
brakes and you don't know where they are though.
Yeah, that's true. But we're at that stage as well. We're passing like some of the milers and stuff. So like you like look back and you're like, oh, is that like a rider or is that like So it's I think that bit there I was kind of like getting to the point where I was a bit over it.
Yeah, Lester. Yeah, but yours is probably the climb up to Kung Fu where you had full vapor lock.
Well, that was bad news, but now the part I hated was actually the start. Like last year,
It was hectic.
last year we checked out. Like I was, top 3 or 4 at the start last year and feeling good and peppy. And this year, I couldn't push hard enough to not get swamped by people, and I just kept going backwards. And then we hit into Creek Track or whatever it is where it starts to just get super windy through all those trees.
Yeah.
The firs. I just hated that because I was like, I'm going so slow. This is not. I mean, I just had a muzzer and I was just like, had no power to go anywhere.
Was that all those flat turns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the age group start was fucking manic. I was like sitting there on the line.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I thought it
I
was.
didn't think it was too bad. I just thought I was going very slow.
No. Like the first few, like I was probably, I don't know, maybe seventh wheel around in that group. And there was dudes just sending it. And dudes up there that I was looking at them going like, you're not going to last. Like, why are you pushing this hard? Like, I can see that you're not going to make it.
Happens in the elites too, mate.
And there's like this dude just comes blowing by me in the single track, like elbows out with 3 minutes into the day. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, just calm down. And then
He put a pass on you.
Yeah, well, then I passed him again on the road.
Did
he
you
was
give him
so
the elbow to the face though?
Nah,
I
should have.
like it.
But he was so slow. And then I passed him once we got out into the road and I never saw him again for the rest of the day. And because as soon as he got into any sort of corners or descending, he was real slow. But I was like, fuck, can we all just calm down here a little bit? Like, we've got a lot of day left here. But, yeah.
Was it, Craig, is it like that off the elite start? Pretty hectic for the first, 20 minutes? Or is it just pretty...
Yeah, this year, like, that bit that you're talking about that you don't like all those flat turns, it was super hectic until we got to there, and then you can't really pass, I guess, so everyone sort of settled into just a bit of a train. But then when it started getting a little bit hilly and we went over, I think, like, to where Challenges and some other winding stuff over back of there, like, the pace was just, like, super on again, like, ridiculous. Like,
I saw a video.
I don't want to go this fast.
I saw a video of the elites up the challenge climb, and everyone's out of the saddle. I was like, fuck me. I was like, there's some watts being laid down up here.
Yeah. There was, and then, like, even up to Box of Birds, I was like, I can go this fast, but this is retarded right now. But there was a couple of particular people, I think, that just knew they weren't going to go the whole way, so were just... without a lack of a better word, fucking with us because they wanted to just make it super hard and for everyone else. But it bit them on the ass pretty hard in the end because they blew themselves up and yeah.
So they were just going out to like be the first 2 hour heroes and make it hard on everyone else.
And just kind of like, oh yeah, I knew I wasn't fit enough. I knew I was just going to send it for 2 hours. But it's like if we did let them get away, then like they would get that glimmer of hope, So that's kind of why I didn't really want to let them get away.
Nah.
Do you guys have a bit of an idea of who in that pack is kind of on versus who's kind of bluffing?
Yeah, we have a little bit of an idea, I guess, but you never really know. And there's you have a little bit of an idea, but yeah, I guess you don't truly know until you get a few hours deep.
Yeah.
How are you managing it, Craig? Like, how do you manage the effort? Are you looking at heart rate, or do you have a power meter on or anything, or you just know the feeling?
No, I don't have a power meter on my mountain bike, actually. I did run heart rate, but I didn't look at heart rate. I only seen what my heart rate was at the end of the race, and I was just like, oh, I wonder what my heart rate was. I just go on feel, but I was pretty all in to try and win, so I was kind of like, if I get dropped, then I get dropped. But yeah, I was kind of like, I was pretty confident that I wouldn't get dropped no matter how hard people went at the start, because I guess I have like a XC kind of background. And I was like, if everyone blows 2 hours in, then I felt that I was still pretty fit, that I could crawl around, recover, and then hit it again for a little bit, maybe at the end. But yeah, it was a ridiculous place at the start.
Did you see what your average heart rate was? Is that what you were meaning when you saw it at the end, or is that just...
Yeah, I seen what my average heart rate was on Training Peaks after, I think, like 160.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me feel too bad, because mine was 170, and I was like, man, I think that was way too high, but...
Yeah, 170, I seen that, mate. That's outrageous.
I'm a high river.
That's big.
What's your max, though? What's your max?
My max there was 191.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, see, like, my brother's average heart rate was like 152, and his max was, say, like, I don't know, 176 or something, and my max is like 186, but pretty much our whole time that we've been riding together, like, if we're riding, my heart rate's always 10 beats higher than his, and max is out 10 beats higher, so... Yeah.
It's like one of the guys from work, we can be riding together, and we're pretty much same pace, same sort of fitness and everything, and he'll be at like 150 and I'll be at 175. Like, he's just a way lower river than
it's crazy,
I am.
Where did you hit 190, Kerry?
I think that was back up Boxer Birds, because I was chasing a guy down up there. So we were kind of on a bit of
what was your Whoop heart rate though?
Oh, it's probably about 130, I think, if I had the Whoop data live.
Yeah.
That Whoop's a crock of shit, eh?
that live broadcast stuff
do you
is a complete
Do you see
joke.
that? They're like, oh, Log Bruni, he's going so hard, it's 140, and you're like...
The best bit was at Mont Saint Anne when Gwyn called it out live on the broadcast. He's like, there is no way he's doing 150 right now. Like,
no, surely at a downhill World Cup, you're like 140 in the start gate.
Oh, easily.
Easy.
I was sitting at like 155 in the eliminator start gate. I looked down at one point in one of my heats and I was like, holy shit, I'm doing 155 and I'm just sitting in a start gate.
Yeah, but you would get that nervous about slamming your face into that stupid wall ride 20 metres in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I was trying to race...
If you lined up with Moki, you are.
I was trying to race...
Well, you wouldn't beat Mookie to the wall ride, mate, with the amount of power he's got.
Not when he's pumping out 1,700 watts.
Yeah.
That's peak though, KB. That's not doesn't really mean much, mate.
Yeah, I claim it. Peak is still a peak.
Yeah. No, it's a big job. Oh, man. I think my least favourite trail of the day was when you hit the first right-hand corner of the course until you got to about the last left-hand corner of the course. So...
What about the creek jump, bro? Surely you pulled for that.
Also, there's another cramp story. So... I got into the climb up to Rock Drop, so that kind of steep one. You get to there and you're like, oh,
that's pretty steep, actually.
Yeah, and I saw this guy like a couple of turns down from me, and I was like, oh, fuck, he's coming for me. Like, I just got to keep punching it, and so I kind of had to send it a wee bit through like that and Rosebank, and I get into Creek Gap, and I'm like, well, I've got to send it. Like, can't do anything else here. And so I gap it and I get it all good, but then as I land, my right leg just does its full cramp lockout again, and so my right knee has just fully locked out as I've landed, and I'm like, oh fuck, I've got to turn the corner and pedal up this little climb now as well, and then I managed to just like force it around and get it to bend, and got up that little climb, and I was like, all I've got to do is make it over this rise, and then we're good. We can get to the finish from here. I was just like, fuck me, not again. Like, I can't lock myself out and eat shit here.
Yeah, I definitely got crowd peer pressured into hitting that creek gap too, because I'd actually gone and looked at it when I was just doing a little warm up for the first TT at the Eliminator, and I was like, that's not on, eh? That's pretty sketchy right now.
It's a huck.
Yeah, it's a proper huck. And then I was like to my brother, because we were both looking at the same time. I was like, nah, that's a race run special. If I need to hit it in the race, I'll hit it. That'll be fine. That'll be all good. And
you
I
had
was
4
like,
minutes to play with.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I didn't know. So like, I'm coming in, and I'm like, oh nah. I'm telling myself, nah, you're not gonna hit the creek gap. You're an idiot. Like, don't blow up your rear wheel and crash. Like, who knows? He's only 20 seconds back, and then he sprints past you down the main chute. Like, this shit's going through my head as I'm coming into it. And as you come up over the brow, the crowd is just going absolutely nuts, because obviously I'm like the first rider that I've seen probably or something in the 100. And I'm like, if you are winning the 100k and you do not hit this, and you tiptoe across the log so you don't get wet feet, you're going to look like an absolute douchebag. So, of course, I did a race run special, and it was super chill.
Yes.
But it was pretty funny that I got peer pressured into it.
That's awesome. It's so good when you're like 100
I reckon
deep.
that was almost the sketchiest part of the race, was definitely my sketchiest part of the race, coming into the top of that chute where there's like an old step and the plank across. And I was like, I kind of rolled into it, and I was like, oh, this is fully washed out. It's just a plank of wood. I was like, oh, I'll just pre-hop it. So I pre-jumped, and then realised that it turns hard left at the bottom of it. And I very nearly was the guy who fully crashed down the bank into the bottom. Fortunately, I hooked it in and got it right. But man,
Did you guys see the video of the young dude who sent it in the 50 and like tried to do, I think, like a little tweak or something off it, landed, and his front wheel washed out like up the bank, and then he just slapped his face into the bank?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Humiliating.
James.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he smoked himself.
That looks
It's a
carnage.
It's a fucking sketchy little bit.
He
of
was
track.
one of the guys who crashed on the wall ride at the Eliminator.
no.
True. Yeah.
I went up there on Thursday night when I arrived. I just went for a little spin, and I was like, I'm gonna have to go find this creek gap, because I've like always seen stuff from the Whaka with it, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go for a look for it and just work out where this is. And so I rolled around and rolled down into it, and I bumped into Joe Nation and the Christchurch crew that he was there with at it, and so we're yarning them. And I went to roll into it once, and I cooked the line coming in, and so I was like, oh, I have to push back up and get it right. I was glad that I looked at it, because then I sent it, and we're standing there talking, and this family comes down. There's like a teenage son. He rolls down, and he rolls through the creek. They're just out for a casual ride, and he gets just to the end and like doesn't quite make it and has to stop and gets his shoes a bit wet, and he's like laughing about it. Then his mum comes in, just about eats shit. She gets like halfway through and has to stop, like full wet feet, and walks out of it and is on the other side. Next thing, out of nowhere, the old man comes in, gets halfway, just full over the bars, eats shit, face plant into the mud, scorpion, like out of nowhere, full speed. Oh. It was like, we're just all standing there like, holy shit. Is this guy like going to be able to actually get up out of this? Because he was like,
is he drowning?
He was face in the mud, like his head was in the ground. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's a Thursday
you're not supposed
night.
to put your head under in those sulphur pools, eh?
No, it's not good for you.
He'll have an ear infection.
Yeah, for sure. The thing that blows my mind about that creek gap is like, it's just got this gnarly hype about it that people that go up to Rotorua that don't live there, they're like so worried about if they can hit the creek gap or not. I'm like, legitimately, if you don't hit the creek gap and tiptoe across the log, like, you might lose 15 seconds, but you've done a 50k race. Like, imagine the amount of places you can save 15 seconds throughout the whole race.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm like, yeah, it's crazy.
I'm pretty sure you'd be able to just roll into the left of it and ride through the creek if you wanted to anyway.
That's what I did.
Oh, there you go. We've got first-hand experience.
Oh, the truth is coming out now.
I just ended up there. I was like, oh, they dropped things over to the right. Well, I guess I'm not doing it. So I
did you pop a little
creek.
sort of manual into it, or did it not even suck you up?
No, it was fine. I was going
shit,
pretty
nice.
slow. Yeah, pedalled out of there, no worries. Everyone seemed pretty disappointed, actually.
It's just story of your life.
I quite like
disappointing people.
I quite like they put it in the race, because it's like you're at the end of 100 Ks and they put this sketchy as fuck section, which is completely unnecessary. And it's not like the hard line is really that much faster at all than the slow line, but they put it there just to fuck with people. It's awesome. It makes great spectating.
It's all for the kudos.
It's great.
So the first couple of years I did, the first year in like 2018 or something, I did the 50 and it was super, super wet. And I'd never ridden I don't even know, I must have ridden Rosebank at some point. But I came round there and I'm like, come to the creek gap. And I didn't even know that you could turn off the main track and hit the creek gap. I went the full length, long way right round, which brings you back out by the lip. And I'm like, how are people hitting this? And then like trudge my way through the water and out. And then the next year or the few years later when I did the Honey the first time, I did the same thing. I didn't know where the turnoff was. And then last year I got it dialed. And this year I came down towards where the turnoff was. And I thought, the turnoff's been. So I'm off the bike, walking back up the track, looking for the turnoff that I think I've missed. And then I'm like, hang on, no, it's at the crest of the hill. Keep going. And I get up there and I'm like, you idiot. You lost. I mean, by this point, I'm like totally game over, so it didn't matter anyway. But I was just like, you idiot. But at least I still did the creek gap.
Yeah. There's no shame there, Lester.
I'm not ashamed, guys.
No.
You should be.
I'm not ashamed.
Hey, Craig, was this the first Whaka you've done?
Yeah, it was the first Whaka. I've tried to do it twice. I've tried to do it twice.
Wow, that's good.
I think the first year I trained up for it, and it was when it was delayed because of COVID. And then I think it got canned as well because of COVID. Did it?
It did. Yeah.
So that time COVID stuffed me there, and then last year I was going to do it when I got back from Europe from Val de Sol was the last World Cup of the year, but I got COVID before the last World Cup and came back, and it was like a week before, and I'm like, this is just not worth it, a long season and whatever, so just didn't end up doing it. So
you should just never do it again, and then you could go out as an undefeated champion. You'd be the only person who's never been beaten there.
Yeah, it's tempting.
That's pretty solid effort. So you've obviously targeted this, like trained specifically for it over the winter?
Yeah, well, I went to BC Bike Race this winter for... I think I was over in Canada this year. I didn't do any World Cups or anything this year. Just wanted like a bit of a change again, just something fresh. Got over the World Cup sort of circus. So the BC Bike Race was a 7-day stage race. But the stages there are only kind of like 2.5 hours, 3 hours long for kind of like the winners, I guess, of each stage. So, it's definitely the longest XE style race I've done before, like biggest day, I'd say, for a race. Yeah. But, and then once I got back from BC Bike Race, I quickly realised that cyclocrosses in Christchurch did that, and then kind of the focus from there was, for Whaka and then Tour of Southland, which is next week, which just kind of like combine the two because the training is sort of similar. It helps to do kind of like longer rides and stuff, and I kind of enjoy just going and doing long missions when the weather's alright, so...
Is the story true that you did the Whaka because it was a national championship and you didn't want to go out with just having a CX national title?
That's not the only reason I did it, but I was pretty motivated because of that. Like, it was definitely an extra motivation. I'm not going to lie. Like, I've won a New Zealand age group, like, under 17, under 19 type of thing in Oceanias on the mountain bike, like cross country stuff. But then this year, I got second at cross-country national champs at Coronet Peak, cocked it up. Maybe I could have won. Just thought there was a lap to go and there wasn't. And then...
there was a lot of miscommunication at that race too, let's be fair.
Yeah, and then the next day in the, whatever they call it, XCC or the short track, I got second. And I was just like, far out. And I wanted to win. So, anyway, this... Got it done, so all good.
No, you deserve your at Craig Oliver XC Instagram handle now. I was campaigning for a long time that you change it to Enduro, but you've really redeemed yourself now.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to Cable Bay. I don't think I'm going to Cable Bay this year to win the Enduro title. So I think I might have to stay at
Craig,
XC.
It's a false economy anyway.
No, you've got to go and pre-ride the whole thing on your e-bike for a couple of weeks beforehand. If you
have to live there for 4 years before you get a chance. You have to be born there to win, actually, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enduro's dead anyway.
What format of racing do you prefer, Craig? The marathon like Whaka or the shorter course?
Like Olympics?
I think I like the Whaka kind of style now, to be honest. And in like BC bike race, you know, like you're coming up on trails. Like the problem with a World Cup now is that like everyone says that it's technical and it's getting harder and stuff. Like it is, but you can also go and do 30 laps between Thursday and Sunday if you want to. So it's like quite often if you see a XC World Cup on course, it's like it might look hard, but once you've actually ridden it, there's a very clear line that's actually pretty rideable, you know, for the majority of people. You know, I think the first time I ever raced in Mont Saint Anne on an XC bike with no seat dropper, like there's certainly some gnarly stuff in that, and it was kind of like if you could get down the downhill and not crash, like you're going to be one of the fastest people on the downhill. And now it's changed to like, you know, 120 seat dropper. If you're not actually pushing on the downhill, then you'll lose time. But I don't necessarily think it's actually got more technical. Like I think it was actually probably harder when everyone had the less capable bikes on still the gnarly tracks.
The bikes were shit, and the tracks were still gnarly. So it's like, the bikes have caught up with the tracks for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe they need to have like a 26-inch triple chainring class at the Whaka. Something like a retro class.
Yeah.
It's got OTB written all over
That
it.
was pretty epic, wasn't it?
Yeah. XC national champs.
What happened to that Jammis you had, Rico?
I don't know,
Keep that
actually.
thing?
No, I gave it to my sister. Shit, it was nice, though. I did ride it
Yeah,
once.
it's tidy.
Yeah.
Red Dog bought like a cabin spec 26-inch Jammis for like $40 from the dump.
It was. I think it was
tidy.
$20. Had XTR shit on it. It was real tidy.
Was it Mikey Northcott spec or cabin spec?
I honestly can't remember now, Mikey.
Mikey Northcott
He was,
man.
wasn't he, actually? Kevin
Yeah,
was giant.
Mikey
I got it
was a
wrong.
Jamis, man, yeah.
Here's a fun fact for you. Kevin was a giant man, but if I recall correctly, at one point he was sponsored by Hire Quip, and he had his bike was custom painted in bright orange with Hire Quip stickers on it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
It's a high-end deal.
I hope I'm not wrong about that, but it was very close. It was either bright orange or bright yellow, and he was sponsored by a rentals company.
That's brilliant.
And that
Funny. Was that
it
before
was pre
Aunt
Aunt
Betty's
Betty's
or after?
days. It was when he was on the Giant. It was an NRS or something, and it was a sick bike too.
Oh, riddle me this, Craig. Did you do the mad carbo load the day before?
No. If you
Lester, he's thrown your theory out.
I was going to say I did. It was awesome.
It's not theory, man. It's science.
I mean, I don't think it's going to harm you, but I also think that if you... My thinking is that you taper before the race anyway, so you do less than what you normally do. But I wouldn't say eat more, I'd just say eat the same, because if you're doing less but eating the same, then you're replenishing your glycogen stores enough anyway. And I feel like some Euros have got some weird theories that I've experienced in my time about, all sorts of stuff we could go into. But, I think if you just eat the same, But, anyway.
I don't normally eat a donut at lunchtime, but I
Interesting.
did on a Saturday, and it was fucking great.
Me and
I
Chris
feel
ate a lot of garlic bread on Saturday night.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
so
but
good.
if you eat a shitload, I think I just feel like slow and sluggish and puffy.
Maybe that's my problem, because I ate the most I've ever eaten in a day, and most of it was carbohydrate in terms of rice and white bagels and
You were on a
pasta
real
for
white
dinner.
diet.
And then I woke up and
how many cocoa
I got to
pops did
say
you eat?
though, I felt so good at the finish. I mean, I was ruined, but I still had energy at the finish, and it was the same at whatever that crazy gravel thing.
Edition
was.
40.
Edition 0. Like those carbs, man, they pay off at the end.
But you needed that because you then had to go parenting. And when I say parenting, as I understand it, both parenting your kids, but you also hang out with Byron. So, like,
adult as well.
That's true. He had his kids, so he was occupied.
did you guys ride the following day?
Yeah, actually, we went. We took the kids shuttling. It was sick.
Awesome.
So we rode. I can't remember what the first trail we rode was. Oh, we rode that stupid new flow trail they've got in Rotorua that I absolutely hate. And then we went back up and rode Matiwa.
Oh, the one over by Hot Cross?
No.
Te Whaka.
Well, the one by Hot Cross. I forget what it's called. Te Whaka, yeah. We rode Te Whaka, which the kids were frothing on.
I rode that with you like 18 months ago, and you're like, this fucking sucks. And I was like, yeah, this is sick on an XC bike.
No, I don't know, man. I'm not about it, eh? I don't know. That's just me being old and salty. And then we rode Eagle vs. Shark back to the car, which was pretty cool. 6-year-old Nico was loving it.
Yeah. I'm surprised you got back out on the bike. I was pretty cool. Well, to be fair, I got up at fucking 4:45 a.m. and drove back to Wellington the next day. So actually, I had to go to a quick stop at Macca's and wait in the drive-through for about 4 minutes until breakfast ticked over at 5 a.m. and then I hit the road. I rolled.
How hungry were you guys after the day after? Craig, did you get hungry the day after?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I did that photo shoot, so I had smoked a big brekkie at like 6, and then I had to fly out at 1, and then
right timing.
So it was a quick turnaround, and then the only stuff up I did is I only had XE shoes, so I had these shitty stiff carbon shoes pushing up and down the hill. But mainly just like my lower back and stuff was a bit sore, like tight, and then my abductors were a bit tight where I was sort of like getting twinges of cramp and stuff, but nothing too major. And then the next day you obviously feel a bit rough, and then just got out for an easy ride. Oh yeah, I had a rest day on the Monday, and then the Tuesday went and did 3 hours, but I felt all right after that.
I was so disappointed after the race because I just wasn't hungry until like, I don't know, about 7 o'clock, and I was like, I'm just going to Macca's now because I just want to eat. Like, I'm not even hungry still. Probably the 17 gels that were in my gut. So I went and decimated a Big Mac and a cheeseburger and a whole bunch of other stuff that I could fit in.
I wasn't that hungry the night after either. Like, you're always like, oh man, I just smoke an ice cream and smoke this and that. But it's like, I mean, I got like a burrito or something, and I end up like not eating the whole thing. And a normal night I would eat the whole thing easy.
No worries.
But I was an hour or so into the photo shoot, and I was like, I had breakfast at 6. It's sort of like 10:30. I'm like, mate, I need to grab some food. And it's like, oh, you sure? Like, we don't have much time. I'm like, mate, I'll take your arm off. I'm that hungry right now. Like,
I was the photo shoot,
super hungry. Well, Giant. I'm sponsored by Giant, and they sponsor Skyline. So they had some real old photos. On the side of the gondolas and stuff like that. So
Keegan Wright from 2017 when he ran Giant.
Yeah, exactly. And like Fox Kit, and then Wide Open also sponsor the park, so I lathered up a bit of their gas for them as well. And just, I think that's I'll be slapped on the side of the gondolas in the building, I think.
International superstar.
I'm hoping to see like the photo shoot was actually you guys all sitting around in the cafe at the top of Skyline,
getting stuck into the buffet.
Some lifestyle.
Oh, that would have been the dream, to be honest.
Lifestyle shots are the best part of photo shoots.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
No, there wasn't actually even free feed.
Oh, come
Stitch
on.
up.
Got to
Pay
look
for your
after the
gondola
talent,
probably too.
KB, I did.
Kerry knows this. You've got to look after the talent.
I did the claim today, KB, for our Nelson. For the Nelson trip the other day. Added up
all the lifestyle shots we did.
No, I did the claim for the expenses.
Yeah, the bus fare.
But I did also see all the lifestyle shots.
The 2 hotels. Because you guys were too fancy to stay at the Prince Albert Backpackers, so you had to go and get yourselves an Airbnb.
He wasn't at Tahuna.
It was about security, mate. It was about security.
Doesn't apply when you're on tour with Byron and Matt Berry.
No, it hits the Tahuna.
No, you just stay at the cheapest shithole you can find.
Well, it's different when you got to pay for it yourself. And also, I don't have like $30,000 worth of camera gear with me.
No, that's true.
Well, you had probably close to $1,000 worth of camera gear on your chest at the Whaka.
How did you ride around with a GoPro on all day? That would have annoyed the shit out of me.
Honestly, I didn't even notice it most of the time. In fact, a lot of the time I was like, I'm supposed to be getting some clips here. And
just forgot.
Yeah. unfortunately, I was like, I got the creek gap in the end after fumbling at the top. I got the creek gap real good, and I was like, oh, this will be real sweet on the GoPro. But I must have actually either knocked it somewhere or just the weird angle that you kind of jump when you're on an XC bike. It didn't capture the crowd at all. So you
just
don't
a
see a
chin
single
shot, just
person
looking
in the
straight
crowd.
up at your face.
Yeah, I was hoping to
Not
see
quite
some more
that bad,
photos
but-
of that because the crowd was real sick when I came down there, and then I like got these photos or whatever from the just event photography or something.
Photos
where
for
they
sale.
Yeah. And it's like me, and it's just like framed against the takeoff, and you can't even see it's
Yeah.
over a creek, and there's not one person in it. I was like, well, that doesn't really show the actually pretty sick spectacle that was at the bottom, I guess.
You can
Yeah.
either
Yeah,
choose
that's a
from
good
that,
point.
or you riding up a gravel road by yourself out in the middle of nowhere.
Well,
Like, no one wants to see that photo of me riding up a gravel road.
Yeah.
I spent 4.5 hours of the day riding alone.
Yeah, but
No
that's a
shit.
normal weekend for you, Kieran.
Yeah. So
Really?
like, the first like hour and a half through till where the second water stop was, out by like the Black House car park, I was in a group, and then there was like 3 or 4 young guys who were like kind of, I guess, RXC races, pretty handy. And then once we got into that climb heading up to Whaka, they put the hammer down up there, and I just couldn't keep that pace. And I backed off, and then I basically rode by myself the whole rest of the day from there. There's bits and pieces where I kind of saw people or went past them, but fuck, it was a boring day.
That
Yeah.
section where you're all the way
Wow.
out by Green Lake before you start going back up to No Brains it's a fucking lonely place. by
Oh,
yourself,
when you're
eh?
doing
I was
that,
by
that
myself up
loop,
there going,
yeah.
That bit I didn't know at all, and that was why it was real sick being with Ben there, because he's done it a couple of years, so he knew it. And like the first probably 2.5 hours, like no one really talked because the pace was so on. Apart from like maybe Ben rode up beside someone and said, "I hope that's not the best you've got," because he was a little bit dark. Just because he got like filthily attacked when he had broken his spoke, which I mean, fair enough, probably what
Yeah.
you'd do to the same person, but at the time you're not that stoked on it. And so there's no talking, but once me and Ben got out the back of Green Lake, we're just having like mean yarns down Kung Fu and everything, so that was pretty sick. And otherwise that bit would have been kind of boring, to be honest.
It was about the only place I rode with someone was going up that climb to No Brains, and this dude who I'd raced at XC National Champs last year came up beside me, and I'm like, and he'd beaten me, and I was like, son of a bitch, this guy's back. And but he's a real nice guy, so it's like not like you're being nasty or anything, but I was just like, fuck. And he'd come up beside me just after I'd stopped because I'd had another cramp attack kind of on the start of that road climb up there. And so he obviously knew I was hurting, and I could see he just kept trying to attack me up that road. And I stayed on him, and I was just like, I was dying, but I held on to his wheel till he got to the start of the descent. And then I pulled a Lester Perry trick, and we started the descent, and then I'm like, oh, hey. I was like, let me go ahead and jump on my wheel and just stay on my wheel till we get to the bottom. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. And so then as soon as we started descending, I attacked on the descent, and I never saw him again for the rest of the day. It's like...
There's such a good line, because when I pulled that before, I was like, follow my lines, it'll be faster for you on the descent, and then I'll let you lead up the climb, and you can just pace me. But
Yeah.
see you later. It only works when you're
So I
mid-pack, though. You couldn't do that on your end.
I said
Craig.
to him, I was like, once we get to the bottom, I was like, you'll go past me again, and I'll just try and keep up. And he was like, oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, so I was quite happy with that. I got my redemption from National Champs, so it was one spot, but one spot away from the podium too, so son of a bitch. That's all right. So what time did you do in the end, Craig? Were you like a 4:52 or something?
4:56, I think.
Fuck. That's
Yeah,
a hot
really.
pace. I was only an hour behind you.
Yeah, I think they said it was like 21k an hour average or something.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and when I saw your comment the other day, KB, you and Punter having a bit of a laugh about knocking 15 minutes off, and I was like, I started to write, you should calculate
Yeah.
out how much faster you'd actually have to go. because it's like reasonably considerable. It's not 21k an hour faster. Mate.
Don't worry, I've been looking at the course. I was looking at the course on Strava and comparing times between people, and you can do like the graph where you can see like how far ahead they are, and even like someone who's 15 minutes ahead, you're like, holy shit! Like you can just see it rising up throughout the whole thing. It's like fuck.
You get me on any downhills, KB?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I haven't gone that deep into it.
I'd like to see a King of Down in the course in the future.
Yeah, I reckon they should have one on split ends.
The King of
That would be
Time's
quite
boring.
sick,
No one
actually.
knows.
Yeah,
Uh,
It'd be pretty sick.
Oh, they used to have enduro stages because, Carl Jones used to hit them, but it's pretty much whoever's leading the race.
Because otherwise you
wins
get caught
those
behind
stages.
people. It's pretty hard to get clean runs down them. It'd be kind of cool though because you could have box of birds and like tee and split ends, no brains. There's actually heaps of like decent descents in there that you could accumulate them over.
Yeah,
Maybe
there would be.
OTB podcast can
That would be
sponsor
quite
that
cool
for
to do it
next year. We just need to find some money from somewhere. Maybe Tim will give it to us for free.
Well,
Yeah.
We really need a pitch for official media partner.
Nah, they've already got a podcast partner. We're shit out of luck.
It's probably quite successful too.
We're very successful.
Who have they got?
What's that one from Christchurch, Craig? CP.
I haven't
There you
been
go.
on
the
their
cycling
one
podcast or CP.
Well, we know where the talent is.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
We got the scoop.
Scoops. Well, I don't know. Have you guys got anything else you want to ask Craig before we sign off? We've been on here for an hour, so we don't want to keep him too long. He's probably got a big day tomorrow.
I have
Red
one
Dog,
thing that I'd like to discuss.
What's
I've always
Craig?
thought
What are you doing for work and stuff at the moment? I know you were doing some coaching or something for a while.
Yeah, so I run like a skills coaching business. It's mainly mentoring like young up and coming dudes like XC and Jura, and then a few downhill dudes. So I do like a little bit of programming, pretty much the same as like what Lewis does in Rotorua with Tune, but on a much smaller scale here in Christchurch and Canterbury. And so just do some skills coaching and programming, but like the actual programming coaching I do is a lot more like mentoring and stuff as well, which is I really enjoy. And then work with a school in Christchurch as well and run their cycling and adventure racing sort of thing at their school. And then just do some beekeeping as well. My partner owns a beekeeping business, and so I work for her and officially qualified the other day, mate. So qualified beekeeper.
Oh, nice.
What's the name? What's the name of your business?
Isn't there?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's called Waiora Apiaries. But you can like buy it online and stuff in jars, and we sell it like a few farmers markets and that sort of thing.
Yeah, nice. You got a website? Is it?
Nice.
Yeah, if you just look up Waiora Apiaries, you'll find the website.
All right. Go and spend some money there, listeners.
What's the name of the coaching business you run, Craig?
It's called Custom Cycle Coaching. Just find it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
You're looking for some
middle-aged
have you got an age cap on that?
I actually really cool. Just Christchurch business just sponsored like me to help out 2 kids for a year, and KB did slide into the DMs and he was like, "Oh, is the age? Oh, the age on it." But
there was an age limit. I wasn't allowed.
There's an age limit, but it would be pretty sick to. It is actually quite cool helping some, like, I have helped a few people that have been training up in Christchurch to do Whaka and stuff, because I think for those type of events it gets really overlooked. Like, if you're just smooth and stuff, you're going to save so much more time than it's probably easier to gain that than it is fitness, because a lot of people train really hard, but if you can't ride that good technically, then, you're wasting so much energy. Because in a race like that, it's not really about raw speed on the downhill, it's about like being efficient and just like a good average speed, I would say.
Yeah, going 10 or 15 seconds faster on a descent means fuck all if you're using up 50% more energy to try and do it. It doesn't equate to anything. So
it also means fuck all if you're spending 15 minutes in a ditch dealing with your cramp.
So what you're saying, Chris, is
I'd agree.
It's a skill.
I think for next year, Craig, we might employ you to run like a zeros to heroes type program for the elderly.
That's actually
Because we've all got like a benchmark time for this, like good weather conditions and everything, and no major mechanicals. So we've set pretty good sort of benchmarks to work against. And then it could just be like the Craig Oliver success story of how to take a washed up 35-year-old from a 713
with
to a sub 7. And you could sell that. Like, there's big money available on that. Like,
how can you go from cramping in the last, not at frontal to just in the last 15k or something?
Cramping on challenge up till.
It's the shift your cramp program from the middle to the end of the race.
Would you like to cramp up in the last 5k?
I'm thinking about getting one of those water bottles that goes on your handlebars with the straw that comes out, like the Boomers run. I think that might be my ticket for next year, so I can get a bit more liquids in easily.
It's the other program that we could run is how to eat 25 gels and not shit yourself.
I barely made it.
But,
I did have to make a quick evacuation to the Portaloos not long after the race.
Yes.
Oh, classic. I think one of the things that I've seen, and I've only done 3 Whaka events, but it seems to be that Labour Weekend is always the first, like, pretty warm weekend of the summer or the spring. And I reckon that's what catches people out, eh? You're not accustomed to the heat yet.
I think I'm running a backpack next year, no matter what.
Is that the one that you sold after you got it for the photo shoot and Nelson wore it once and ditched it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get a new one though. Yeah. And probably do the same.
Well, I think the amount of... So I lost 3 750ml bottles through
physically
the race,
lost them.
which meant that I then had...
You lost them.
They fell out of my bottle cage.
Along with all the gel
cage
wrappers on the ground, there's just Lester's water bottles floating around too.
I could not believe it. So I got to the bottom of Kung Fu, and then you go down into Jeff's Link, and by that point I'd lost a bottle from somewhere. Must have been out of my cage, but I still had one in my back pocket. So I was like, sweet, I'll just fill the pocket one up and then I'm good to go. So I stop at the station, fill it up, put it in the cage, ride into Jeff's Link, and at the bottom of Jeff's Link I look down and it's gone. And I'm like, now I've got 2 small bottles, and that was me for the rest of the day, stopping at every station, filling them up.
I love that. It was like you see all the bottles everywhere, and you're like, "Man, who's that amateur that their bottle falls out of the cage?" It's Moki.
But I've never had it. It's so weird. I've never had it before. It must be riding a short travel bike, because I normally ride. That was a loaner that I was on, and it's a lot harsher or shorter travel. So maybe it's just enough extra shake to have them pop out.
You sure you weren't just drinking from them and just chucking them on the ground? Fuck.
I was probably that delirious. My brain wasn't working. That's what I was doing. That's what I was doing with my gel wrappers. So
everyone else seemed to be as well. Fuck, they were littered everywhere.
I actually just today pulled my bibs out of the bag, and they're just like crammed full of.
Looks like the sock you used to have hidden under your bed.
It looks like.
That's dusty.
I cleaned my kit yesterday, and my jersey was so white from just sweat. Like, I didn't realise I'd sweat that much, but there was just salt, like, everywhere, like, all over the shoulders and down the back of it. Just had this white, salty crust on it. I was like, holy shit, some serious salts come out of there. Yeah.
Craig, do you take much notice of things like sodium intake or anything like that when you're racing?
Not really. Just like whatever I train with, if it works and I'm not cramping up, then I just sort of run that. Like, I'm not really... But I do know the electrolytes that I use don't have a very high salt intake compared to some other brands. So I take like a magnesium tablet, and if it's going to be like a really hot race, I would run that like probably in the morning as well, like maybe just not like at night. And then like I also have like a low carb like electrolyte drink mix thing that I kind of sip on the day before, like just don't drink straight water. But I feel like if it's like a really high salt content in it, then it's sometimes harder to digest, I find, with like the carbs. So I actually, like in my Camelback, I only run water, because then like if I'm feeling like it's too much of gels, then I can like easily dilute it. And it's amazing how many times throughout the race that you have a sucker on your Camelback and it's just like water is just like the nicest thing, just plain water. So yeah, that's how I kind of balance it out. Is that I feel like it's running a bit rich, then I can just have a suck on the water. And obviously, you're always going to have that liter of water or whatever you decide to carry in your camelback, and you're not going to drop it on the ground. So
throw it in one of the rubbish boxes on the side of the track.
The silly thing.
Yeah, I have seen someone lob off their camelback towards the end of a race because they want to save a bit of weight. Like,
I'd probably stop and pick it up if I was behind them. To be fair, like if it's free,
and then sell it.
Exactly. It's just straight on marketplace.
Still go good on marketplace.
At the end of the race,
entry fee back.
Yeah.
I've seen worse things on marketplace.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's good. Oh well, we'll probably hit about a good time to wrap it up. That's our Whaka 100 cramping experience from the OTB team. We might all run some different setups next year and hopefully come in with a few less cramps. But I mean, the day of the race, I was like, oh, this is good. I don't need to do this again. And then 2 days later, I'm like, how can I go faster? So I feel like I'm probably back in next year.
Yeah, we're back.
Good memory of a goldfish, mate. That's good.
That's it. I've already forgotten the pain, so we'll have to come back and do it again.
Yeah, I'll be sliding into Craig's DMs.
Some custom cycle coaching tips for us.
Yeah, I like that. That hero to zero has got a nice ring to it, actually.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to come in, I'm going to race elite, and I'm just going to go for 2 hours just to try and make Craig scared next year, though the whole time he'll be sitting behind me going, look at this fuckwit.
Ben will ride up beside you and say, is that all you've got, though, mate?
I wouldn't be worried about Ben. He's only got...
You know you've made it when the
Ben's only got one fork league on his bike. I wouldn't be worried about him.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's too good. Well, thanks for joining us, Craig. It was bloody good. Great to have someone who knew what they were doing recap on the race and how it feels to do it without cramping and doing well. So that was good.
Yeah. No worries. Nice to chat to you boys.
Thanks, Craig.
All right.
Yeah, good work, mate. Well
All right. Good luck at Southland, and we'll see you guys another time.
Yeah, what are you going to do? OTB podcast on Southland once all you boys do it as well, or what?
Do you think we can get a wildcard entry in there?
I don't know. It depends how good this. It depends how good this Hero to Zero program goes, I guess.
Any of you guys got a road bike?
Can you imagine all of us in the ditch just cramping together? Fuck, it'd be good.
What's up? I come from the land of down under. I can't hear you. What was that? I can't hear you. I let it be like John Lennon, the anti-serum that you don't get for poisonous venom. Read the label carefully, I'm only here for the show. I love hip-hop too much to let you feed my ego. In the key of F-U-C-K, Y-O-U. I mean, why do I owe you if you're not helping me through? I mean, why do I owe you if you're obstructing my view? Success is not my castle, just a house that's brand new. You see, I irrigate the culture, give it shape like a sculpture. Still complicated, rock like I'm supposed to. B-L-I-T-Z like my DJ. Rock to the rhythm like you rock to what he plays.